My session for the final day of the 7 days FDP, as you all know, will be focusing on choosing the uh, choosing the right journal for your research, right? We'll have a brief, interaction, and as we progress ahead. So I suggest you all to interact with me, rather than it's a theory part. There's no hands-on, right? Let's have a very fruitful discussion. That's what I expect for the day, right? So choosing the right journal for research. So before that, a brief profile of myself. Of course, he has given the introduction. Before I move on to my topic of of discussion, let me explain about myself. It's right, it should be right on my part to know from my end as well, right? So I'm a senior associate professor from business school, and as he was mentioning, I did my full-time PhD from Pondicherry Central University, and I was working as a business analyst for around 2.5 years. Then I moved on to academics, wherein I qualified the junior and senior research fellowship of the UGC. My area of interest particularly spans in marketing and HRM, and as you can see, these are my publication areas where I have focused on the last 5 years. And my present area of research is on emoji and consumer behavior, and I have a flair on social marketing and tourism as well. And as I also produced PhD, two PhDs in the area of HR, I am also interested in doing research in technostress and inhibitor workplace happiness. It's an area which is of much importance nowadays, and OCB as well. So these are my technical skills. I give hands-on sessions on both qualitative aspect of research as well as quantitative aspects of research to academicians as well as industry participants. So my publications have been listed in various reputed journals as per publishers, and I'm a regular reviewer of Emerald, Springer, and Taylor Francis and Sage. So I have delivered uh, my presentation at various IIMs and also imparted training to several academicians and corporate professions as well. So currently, I have two of my scholars have been awarded with the PhD degree, and four are ongoing. So I have. It's my pleasure to say that I have received the highest research score from VIT Business School for the last 2 years, and certificate of appreciation for my research work right from the day I joined, which was in 2015. So this is my metrics. So far, I have published around 34 Scopus Index journal with an H-index of 7, and I have 6 ABDC listed journals. And Q1 and Q2 of the Web of Science, I have 9 listed there, and my highest impact factor is with 4.9 and average is 1.08. And apart from that, I have presented 26 conference presentation and other 27 peer reviewed journals as well. So that is a very quick introduction of myself, and let's move on to our area. So before that, I just have to get few input from your end and to get to know the audience, right? So these are the few questions which I would like to put across to you, right? So first question is, what is your publication experience? Audience, I would like to know from your end. What is your publication experience? How often you publish? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. It's audible.
Yeah, how often you all publish in journals? You don't publish.
Sir,
Sir, it
usually we
might be
will,
like
yeah.
Yeah, right, right. Yes, sir, please.
yearly per academic year, we have at least 2 to 3 publications. That's like the average
Okay.
number of publications.
Okay, 2 to 3 publication. Good. What about others?
Yes.
More than that, or you publish twice in a year or twice in a year, or okay, okay, I'll come to
Twice
that.
in a year,
So,
sir. Twice
yeah,
in a year.
twice in a year. Fine,
Yeah.
good. So, yeah, is there any requirement like no, where you publish? Like our university, we focus only on Scopus Index and Web of Science publication. And you might be as aware, no, UGC Care was, I have put it in yellow color. UGC Care was also into this list some time back, and the few weeks back they have scrapped this UGC list. So, any specific conditions, where you publish, are you publishing in Scopus or Web of Science or ABDC listed journals? Is there any such requirements?
Yes, sir. It should be Scopus. Like we are more focusing on Scopus and ABDC, sir.
Okay, Scopus and ABDs. That's nice. So, what
Yes.
challenges you face in publishing? I expect others also to be part of my conversation. What challenges you face in the publication? Of course, you would have listened to other eminent speaker for the last 6 days, but my area's focus will not be on pulling you out of the challenges, but on my focus will be only on selecting the right journal. But just want to get to know what challenges you face in publication. Any specific challenges? You submit to a journal, you publish as such, and no challenges. I face a lot of challenges in publication.
Every scholar, like every researcher will face certain things should be the challenges should be there, like plagiarism, then there they have to convert them into a particular specified
Okay,
model, all those
yeah,
things. Yes.
challenges of no meeting this plagiarism, no, and no making a plagiarized content below 10 percentage,
Yes.
and to format into a particular journal guidelines. Then another challenge would be to manage your reference. Now there are certain journals wherein you cannot make use of the standard software. They will have their own style, which you'll have to do it manually. So these could be the many challenges which, and challenge to give back to the reviewers' comments. That is the biggest challenge, I should rather say. So many challenges we face in publication. So how do you select journal for submission? So that's our topic of for today's discussion. How do you select journal for submission? Any thoughts?
Usually, I check the paper, the availability of this focus index, and that I have to reach based on that index factor.
Oh,
That
yeah,
factor,
you look into
yes,
this indexation and other aspect. Okay.
yes,
So how often you submit manuscript? That is anyway given 2-3 manuscripts a year.
yes,
And
sir.
have you received and addressed reviewer feedback? How you address reviewer feedback, or you get shocked by seeing the reviewer feedback? You give it up, or you move ahead with no with the challenge given. What is that you do?
Usually, whatever they give the instruction based on that, we have to try to recover that and we have to send it immediately.
Okay, so you whatever suggestion they put across, you look into address to the best of
Yes.
your ability. Yeah, that is good to hear. And you go normally for solo authored or co-authored no, publication.
Co-authored, sir.
What
It
else?
will be
Co-authored.
mostly
Okay,
co-authored.
co-authored. So that will be basically from your same institute or from other institutes.
Sometimes the same
Like
institutes,
both ways,
sometimes
sir.
my previous colleagues, like other institutes,
Right,
also
right.
my
Yeah.
friends also join.
Right. I would touch upon that point sometime later, wherein you should be co-authoring with other institutes and preferably from institutes no, abroad. Uh, okay, so that will be. So you aim for high impact factor or specialized journals?
High impact.
High impact factor journals. Okay, that's nice. And are you familiar with the pre-review process? Of course, we all as academicians will be familiar with the pre-review process. And you track the H-index and impact factor, I believe. So these are the things which no, normally we look into while targeting a particular journal, right? So what I could get from you all is, in a nutshell, you all focus on Scopus index journals. I should rather say, if not Web of Science or ABDC, and minimum 1 or 2 publication a year, and mostly co-authored publication and impact factor journals. So, okay, so I got some information about the audience. I suggest others also to be involved and speak. I don't request you to open the camera. Normally, I don't take up the online sessions. I prefer mostly in-person sessions where I can get to the audience. Fine. Anyway, so these are some common myths which I would like to share with you and get to know the answer. So let's take one by one. High impact factor means best choice. You agree with that? High impact factor means best choice. Is it correct? Is the chat open? I can see the chat here. No.
Uh, Chat is open
Chat.
only, sir, but no one has replied.
Okay. If you are finding difficulty in replying, you can put the chat. Put it in chat. Okay, fine. So high impact factor journals, we all look forward to go for high impact factor journal, but let me tell you that is not always the best choice, right? You cannot judge a particular journal just only based on an impact factor. Impact factor is, of course, it's a crucial no, component when it comes for research. But let me tell you, it depends upon different no, domains. For example, an impact factor of 2 might be really very high, or 2 to 3 might be very high when it comes to science and humanities. But impact factor of 10 in medicine is only an average. So this is what I should say, that no, you should not be just focusing on the impact factor. Sometimes your paper may be published in a high impact factor journal, but it may not get so much of citation at sometimes. But you may get more citations when you are putting your paper in a very specialized journal, which is having a low impact factor. I hope the point is no, put across. So if impact factor is not always a best choice, of course, this matters a lot. Open access journals are not reputable. Agree to it? Open access journals are not reputable. Yes or no? I think, madam, you are muted.
And not
Fully,
all
sir.
the time, sir.
That is also another myth. Like, no, if an
Sometimes it might be, yeah.
yeah, sometimes there are open access journal wherein they ask for a fee and you call them to be in the category of predatory journal. But there are good impact factor journal which is very difficult to even to get it published, even high impact factor journals which are open access. So open access journals mostly give you more visibility, but that doesn't mean that it is not reputable. That is another myth which we should be taking it out from our publication process. So you should only submit to top tier journals, not exactly. You can also submit to specialized journal as well. Journals with fast peer review are predatory. You agree to that? I hope you know what is predatory journal.
Yes.
Yeah, what is the difference between predatory and clone journal? Predatory and clone journal, are they same or are they different?
Cloned are just duplicate,
Yeah, so maybe the Journal of
like they
Business.
will duplicate the website,
Yeah,
every detail of
exactly.
the journal will
Yeah,
duplicate. That's
they
the
they may
clone.
even say that it is indexed in Scopus, and they may give a screenshot, and they may claim the same ISSN. And the problem is it may not be actually indexed in Scopus. Uh, so you might be fooled. They may ask you money, and you will end up in wrong journal. You call it as clone journal. Predatory journals are those journals who are in a race to make money. Those journals will be listed in Scopus, but you can see in the long run, maybe after they make no enough money from the authors, they close it down, and they will be
Yes.
blacklisted. Lot of issues will be coming, and that will be reported to popular publishers, and finally they'll close it down. So journals with the fast review times, normally there are journals which looks like predatory. You submit your paper, you come back after a morning walk, right? And by the time you get an acceptance. So I don't think that is a good sign for you to take your journal, take your paper to that particular journal. So here the review, there is no review at all, in fact. But that doesn't mean that there are good journals wherein there is a regular, very standard editorial board, where there is a very streamlined process of review, and there are in fact fact reviews that necessarily cannot be called as a predatory journal. So both ways, I hope you understood, right? A journal rejection means that your research is not good. Does that make sense? A journal rejection means that your research is not good. Not necessary always.
Not necessary.
Sometimes not necessary. Why? Because your research might not fit to that particular aim or scope of the journal. So that could be one reason as to why you may have a desk rejection, right? A journal with no APC is always better. Not exactly. There are, as I mentioned, there are top quality open access journals wherein they are for an APC, which is funded by the institute, and it's not that they are not good. So I hope it's clear. More citations, better journals. Mostly, we agree to that, but not always true. right? If it is indexed in Google Scholar, it's a good journal. Agree to that? Not necessary. Most journal,
always.
not always. No. And if it is indexed in Scopus and Web of Science, is it a good journal? That too always not necessary.
Not, yeah.
Not necessary. So there are many aspects which we should be looking into while selecting a journal. Some of things will be I'll be discussing in today's session. You can submit to multiple journals at a time. That is not ethical. We should not be doing that. We should never submit the same paper to two journals or three journals at the same time. If at all, if you are not getting a response from one particular journal, all that you can do is to go and write a withdrawal mail and then keep it as a proof and then submit to another journal. So that is always a good practice. All journals have the same peer review standards, not necessary. Some have very rigorous peer reviews. You have revisions. You can see the top class journals, ABDC, A star. They would end up in at least 4 to 5 peer reviews, right? Some have a very fast peer reviews, and that depends from journals to journals. I hope that makes some sense. So we move on to next. So this is the agenda for the day. So we start with some important questions regarding publishing in scientific journals. Then we move on to preparation for submitting and some tips from paper submission, right? So that is the agenda for the day, right? So just take a look at this. Important questions about publishing in scientific journals, right? The first question is, first aspect is, we should all aim to publish in reputed journals with rigorous standards. No compromise on that. I hope you will agree to that. There's absolutely no compromise on no the quality of the paper, which it is put as a second point. If the quality of the paper is not good, it is not going to select go to no, a good journal. Of course, it might land up in a cloned or predatory journal, but quality is definitely an aspect for your journal to sail across, right? And second one is something called as journal scope, right? We will all have seen the scope and know about the journal in almost every journal. So that I'll be taking with an example as to why even if your paper is good, it may not land up in a good journal because the scope doesn't match. That I'll be showing it in the coming slide. And second one is we should be following to the ethical guidelines of that particular journals. And on to your right, you can see there are a lot of ethical guidelines for authors, for the editors, and as well as for the journals to follow, right? As you can see, you can just take a minute to look into it and you'll have a quick discussion on that. Ethical guidelines for authors, ethical guidelines for editors, and ethical guidelines for journals. We'll take a 30 seconds or 1 minute at the max. Okay, so as you can see onto the right, there are many ethical guidelines to be followed by authors as well as editors and journals. So quickly, I'll take one or two, and if time permits, we'll come back, at a later point of time, right? So out of the ethical guidelines to be followed by the authors, something which is of my interest is there should not be a conflict of interest. I hope you know what is a conflict of interest. Any idea as to what it is? Conflict of, we would be giving this conflict of interest in every paper submission. It's like, right, you should be very specific, right? Who is doing what and who is the first author, who is the corresponding author. There are instances wherein the paper is published and ultimately there's a conflict of interest between the first author and the corresponding author. The corresponding author says that, no, I should have been the first author, but you made it to be the corresponding author. So this is not something which is ethical. And inappropriate citation is also not ethical. Citation should be cross-checked and we should not violate copyright infringement. Like if there is a journal which is coming under subscription, you don't have the right to give it to a person or share it in a public platform or put it in internet until the embargo period is over. Maybe after the embargo period, there is a possibility to share it. So you should not be submitting elsewhere. And if you are putting some if some credit for some picture or images, or you should be giving full credit to that particular author, sorry, the third party materials as well. So quickly, that comes under author's guidelines. And for editors, editors should keep, ensure that the peer review is fair, unbiased and timely. There are a lot of retractions that you would have seen nowadays, wherein there a call for issues for special call for issues, and the entire call for issues blacklisted, where the editor would have, accepted papers which are not at par with the standard of the journal, and the entire journal, entire that issue is, retracted. So these are some things which, call for the ethical guidelines for authors as well, and for journals. All the journals should be very transparent in ensuring that, there's a fair treatment of every author, irrespective of their, ethnicity and other aspects as well. So these things are part of, a good scientific journal, and if these matches, and such journals are mostly indexed in Scopus and Web of Science. Next minute, just a minute. So Scopus and Web of Science, as you might all know, right? They are all bibliographic databases, which host thousands and thousands of academic journals. Also host conference proceedings as well, and that assures you about the quality and impact of a particular journal. So mostly, as I was mentioning at the beginning of our discussion, if a paper is indexed in Scopus and Web of Science, we can, to a certain extent, say that it meets the quality standards of a particular journal. And many universities, they emphasize on, getting these papers listed in these bibliographic databases. So how do you know if the paper is indexed in Scopus or not? Quickly, I can just uh, take you to it. 1 minute. So this is a place wherein you can look into whether a paper is indexed in Scopus. All that you can do is, there are two ways of looking into it. One is a free option, wherein there is a limited access to all the features in Scopus, and there is another option wherein if your institution has subscribed to this particular bibliographic, database, then you can have all the features of Scopus or Web of Science. So all that we have to do is, you just have to put in, for maybe you can just see here, just a minute. This is a particular journal which tops list in the Scopus database. You can see here, Cancer Journals for Clinicians starts from 1950 to 225. So you can see the documents which are published till date, right? Now, one thing which we all can cross verify is, right, see, this is listed, even though it is operational, the new documents are not added into 2025. That's why you have only 2024 documents. Now, to confirm that this is not a predatory journal, of course, this is a top class journal. There are a lot of predatory and clone journal, which I was mentioning a couple of minutes back. All that you have to do is, you have to go to that particular website and see the documents, right? If the documents are not listed here, that means that is a clone journal. Maybe, for example, this journal, the name is uh, the name of the journal is Cancer Journal for Clinicians. So this is a journal, but there could be a clone journal if possible, and they would have, asked, you all to remit a fee, for publication. In that case, to verify the credential of the particular journal, all that you have to do is go to that clone website, which, claims to be listed in Scopus, see the documents and cross check if those documents are actually listed here. If it is not listed here, that means you are actually looking into a clone journal. I hope it's clear.
Excuse me,
Yes,
sir. Sir,
yes,
actually, you are showing the website,
yeah, yeah. I am showing the
but
website.
it was not coming actually. You
Not
were
coming.
not sharing the screen. Yeah, only the PPT is there.
Okay, just a minute, just a minute. FTP. Just a minute, madam. So every time I have to
Yeah.
share this. I hope you can see now.
Yes, sir. Now we can see.
Yeah. So what I was trying to say is, so if you have to find out if a journal is listed in Scopus, all that you have to go is you have to go to that particular Scopus website, the scopus.com, and you can see here this is the top journal listed in Scopus with the highest site score. You have to click here and you can see uh, it is currently active from 1950 to 2025. Now, if a particular journal is actually I have cloned this reputed journal, you cannot see that documents listed here. That's how you verify the credentials of a particular journal. For example, these are the documents which are listed here in this particular journal. A cloned website will show some other kind of documents which you can cross compare here. If it is not listed, you can ensure that this is not listed in Scopus. I hope it's clear. And there are two ways of going into the documents. Either you can go directly by scopus.com, or else you should be having an institutional access. Now, if you have to see the papers published by a particular author, directly going to Scopus will at the most give you maximum 10 papers. But if you have to see all the papers listed by a particular author, then you should be having an institutional access. I have an institutional access. I'll just show you how things are different in normal Scopus view and institutional access as well. Fine. So I move on to next one. This is visible now. Screen is visible. PPT, madam.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. So the same case is for Web of Science. You can see here, you can click this website, and as the way I mentioned, you can key in the terms there and take up a particular journal and see the documents and the impact factor and the site score. I'll talk about site score and impact factor in the coming slide. Right?
The PPT is not visible, sir.
So every time I have to, madam, is there any other option that every time I am switching from PP to website, I need to find. Now it's coming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it's coming.
So
Yes.
every time I'm switching from website to link to this PPT, it is not showing. Okay, fine. So the similar way is this. You can see in Web of Science. Look into the journal listed in Web of Science as well. Right, same process. And impact factor of a journal, as I was mentioning, is of much importance. Keep in mind, impact factor is only given by Web of Science. Scopus does not have an impact factor. If somebody says that impact factor of Scopus is 2.5, that is wrong. Scopus give an equivalent version of impact factor, which is called as site score. So impact factor is of a journal is an important component when it comes to research and publication. As you can see here, impact factor is calculated as total citation in a year, in 1 year, plus total citation in year 2, divided by total citable articles in year 1 plus total citable articles in year 2. For example, if a particular journal has 500 citation, as you can see from the screen, in 2022, right, and 600 citation in 2023, and you can see the numerator will become as 500 plus 600, 2022 plus 2023, 600 divided by total citable articles in year 1. Okay, the total published articles in 2022 is 200, and total published articles in 2022 is 2023 is 220. So it comes around 500 plus 600 divided by 200 plus 200, 220, which comes to 2.62. That means the impact factor of this particular journal, as listed by Web of Science of Clarivate Analytics, is 2.62. Okay, so next we move on to the equivalent of impact factor in Scopus. So I'm clicking here. Just a minute. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
You can see the website.
No, sir. The PPT only displayed, sir.
Just a minute. Is there an option to share? So we normally use MS Teams. So every time I'm switching, it is moving out of.
Sir, instead of that, you can share the entire screen, sir.
Just a minute. We normally use MS Teams. So 1 minute. Just a minute, 1 minute.
So there will be option entire screen.
1 minute. That's what I'm doing.
If you share, whenever if you are using PPT or other
Okay,
screen,
now it's fine.
Yes, sir.
now the VIT website is
So I'm in a
showing.
meeting.
Now,
I will talk later. Okay, now it's visible, I guess, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
visible now?
Yes, sir.
Now it's visible.
Yeah, okay. So you would have seen no how to access the Scopus from no scopus.com, and here you have more privilege wherein you can access provided you have an institutional access. So this is how we access from institutional side, and you can see here equivalent to impact factor. Just a minute, I am having a meeting. We'll meet later. I'm having a meeting. We'll meet later. I'm in a please we'll meet later. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's audible.
Uh, yeah. So equivalent to impact factor of Web of Science, you have site score here, and also you have Shimago Journal rank for Scopus database. So what a site score is? It's equivalent to impact factor of Web of Science. In Scopus, we have site score, which is the total number of citations in a year divided by documents published in the year for the past 3 years, which is updated manually. There is also one more parameter in this, which is called a Shimago Journal rank. Normally SJR, popular in called as SJR, which weighs citation based on source quality. So I'm just clicking here. So this is how no institutional access will look like. And you go here, you have all the privileges here, and you go to the particular resources, and you can go to Scopus, and you can type the name of the author and other things here. Look for the journals and the aspects. Suppose if you want to see Shekhar. In normal Scopus access, you you will not have the regular access. Right? It shows about my profile. So if you go to scopus.com, the normal Scopus, if you see here, I'll be able to see only 3 documents. But here I will be able to see the entire document published by a particular author. Here you can also see the particular uh, journal here. And this journal, you can see the site score. So this site score 4.3 is equivalent to the impact factor of a particular journal, which is listed in Web of Science. We also have this SR, SNIP, and SJR, which also are indices of Scopus databases. So likewise, you can target a particular journal based on the site score as well as impact factor. So I move back. So major publisher with impact factor journals, most of the things you would be familiar. Springer Nature, Elsevier, Wiley, Taylor and Francis, Oxford, Cambridge University, MD, PI. So all these journals, they have they have open access subscriptions as well as open access no, options as well as subscription options for you to target with, right? And in case no, you are not able to target these particular reputed databases or journals, uh, I should say databases, not journals. You can even find out institution journals which are also indexed in Scopus. So some institutes they have standalone what to say journals which will be indexed in Scopus. So that you can also find out. Few examples I can just show it to you. When it comes to management, this is not taken by Wiley, or this is not taken by uh, Emerald, or it's not taken by Sage. This is a journal which is with a particular institute in Thailand. So it doesn't mean that if a journal is having standalone and not associated with any particular database, that is not having quality. Of course not. These journals are also open access journals, but you don't have to pay any fees for it. If the criteria of your paper meets their no, aim and scope, and your paper is of good quality, definitely it will be published, and no, it will be put up online. And the benefit of using such institutional journals are why, because these are all open access and you don't have to pay anything, and the citation also will be more since it is an open access journal. So likewise, what you can do is you can go to the particular Scopus database, and if you are interested in tourism, let me tell you, if you're interested in tourism, all that you have to write is, you have to write tourism here, tourism, and click search here. Where's the search here? Just a minute. What happened to the search button? Once. Just a minute. Some problem here. Okay, so likewise, there's some technical error. So I am taking subject as arts and humanities. You can see different kinds of journal which are, which may be associated with a publisher, or it may be even associated with a standalone institute. So for a beginner, I suggest that you don't go with high site score. You can just no do it in the other way, descending order, wherein it starts from the lower size score. These are all Scopus delisted journals. So you just have to go down and go to 3 or 5. Then you can see a small site score, right? You can see 5 or 6 here. Small site score. Most of them would have been discontinued. That's why it's mentioned as essay here. Let me take a minute. Yeah, after one point of time, it will be showing as 0.2, 0.3. Likewise, it will show up to 15. There are a lot of journals which are discontinued. That's why it's showing as NA. Okay, let me go somewhere here then. Let me take 50 then. Because there are a lot of NAs here. Okay, based on the site score, you can just see, you can, there will be 1 or 2 site scores, less site score to high site score. So you can target that particular journal, right? When I'm, see, you can see a high site score to low site score. So you can take that particular journal. Just a minute, just a minute. Okay, so this is another journal in management studies, which is published by WBS University. One of my paper was published here. So you have options. So these journals will not ask you for any fee, and you can get your paper published provided it meets the quality requirements. If you are not in a position to target reputed publishers. So this is another journal which comes from Poland. So the journal name is Tourism, Lloyd University or something like that. So likewise, all that you have to do is you have to spend some time in this databases, and this is something which comes from India. It's the Journal of Amity University, which doesn't charge any fee, which is listed in Scopus. Okay, so the point I'm trying to say is, depending upon the quality of your paper, you can target on reputed journals, which are hosted by reputed databases, which are listed here, or else you have to find out institution which makes use of journals. Right. Next one is open access and subscription journals. So Taylor and Francis, Emerald, and other reputed databases, they have a lot of open access as well as subscription journals. And these journals expect you, there is no compromise on quality as well. As I was talking in the beginning, it's not a myth that you just can pay something and pay here. No, if the quality of the paper is not good, it will not even go through such journals. There are good journals with good impact factors, comes with different kinds of revisions, but you should be in a position to support for an open access. So that normally comes with a fee, and that fee is normally covered by institution. For example, for our institution, if your paper is listed in Q1 quartile or Q2 quartile, and if it crosses an impact factor of about 2, then our institution is kind enough to give the fee for that particular journal. So that is called as this open access fee. The author will not be in a position to do that because it runs to 1.5 lakhs to 2 lakhs depending upon the requirement. And subscription fees are other kind of journals, subscription journals, wherein your paper will be published without any fee. Now, most of us does that, and if somebody has to get access to that paper, they have to pay for it, and that you can see it comes as subscription journals. And few things worth mentioning here is open access journals. Anybody can download and you can share and use it, at your own requirements, expects. But for us, open access journal, I am talking about open access journal. But for subscription journals, you will be with the licensing options and copyright things which is associated with particular database. You will not be able to share your that particular journal or particular paper until and unless the embargo period is over. So that is the basic difference between open access and subscription journal. Now coming to second point, preparing for submitting. What's the time? Preparing for submitting, the first thing, few 4 to 5 points which I would like to mention here is, first thing you should keep in mind that your paper strikes the right journal, aligned with the scope of the journal. For example, I'll give you one or two my personal experience which I put up here. If you take this first journal here, this is a journal of tourism history, right? If you go to the journal metrics, you can see here acceptance rate is coming around to 25, and it is a small impact factor journal, right? Now, this journal will not publish anything on tourism. So that's what I mentioned in the beginning. One should always be focusing on what is the scope of the journal, right? Aim and scope of the journal you should be looking into, and then target that particular journal. As you can see, this normally published paper which comes with an history of tourism. If you take the latest article, you cannot find a paper on Facebook or Instagram allowing travel planning, or or something like as social media and tourism, or something such kind of things you'll not be able to find out here. If you look closely here, you can see they published only papers which are related to something related to history, right? So you can see here Costa Rica, Caribbean coast, some history, Caribbean cruise, and you can see here Peloton tourism, and many other aspects are put up here. So that is very important when it comes to choosing a particular journal, right? Uh, that is one aspect. And second aspect, let me tell you here. Okay. Okay. So this is one of my paper which was published in, you can note the journal here, South Asian Popular Culture, right? Now let just look into the name of this particular journal, South Asian Popular Culture. And you can see I put up two other journals here. Now, this was a paper called, which I published in 2021, based on inspiration of superhero from India, right? Southern India, based on a film called Minnal Murli. Now, the thing is, first I tried to target this particular journal, Media Asia, which actually published something related to media, right? I tried to write the paper in the form of the social media and the aspects of this Minnal Murli, this movie, and I couldn't sail through, right? And when I targeted this particular journal, South Asian Popular Culture, which actually published my journal, I cannot submit the way I have wrote the paper in Media Asia, the same exact way I cannot put it in South Indian popular culture. Why? Because, right, this journal is related to media and other journal is related to popular culture. So I should tune my paper in such a way that it should be written in a perspective of culture, right? So I wrote the paper in upon the perspective of culture. For example, right, Batman, He-Man, Superman, they all, they are all superheroes from the West. But you see here in India, we hardly have a superhero. A long time back, there was something called as Shaktiman. Now you see something different, right? A superhero. I don't know if you've seen this movie. A superhero in Indian style, wherein he runs with a lungi and he runs with a slipper, and that makes something related to Indian culture, South Indian culture, right? And that prompted me to refine the paper to shift from media focus to a culture focus, and I targeted a journal. Immediately, the editor liked it, put it in peer review, and paper was published. That's what I'm telling. So you should be looking the scope of the journal before you target a particular journal. Before trying to this particular journal, I tried with this journal at the bottom, graphic novel and comics. Immediately, I got a desk rejection telling that, right, it is not related to comics. I tried to write in the form of a comic, but this cannot be taken as a comic book like the Marvel comics of Spider-Man and other Superman and other things. So I got a desk rejection. The point to be kept in mind is write the paper in tune with the scope and aim of that particular journal. Otherwise, we'll have a desk rejection. The second aspect is about the journal restrictions. As you can see here, uh, there are different types of articles which journal I expect normally accepts. The first one, I'm just taking you to this particular website. See, this is a journal by Indian Journal of Psychiatry. So normally we believe that journals take only review articles and research articles. No, some journals they take things beyond review articles and research articles. As you can see here, for authors, if we go to information to authors, this journal takes research papers. This journal takes research communication, right? Case reports, review articles, letter to editor, viewpoint, commentaries, and so on. So that should be kept in mind, right? What is that you have to publish? Maybe you have some viewpoint and you want to put it across, but that cannot be related as a review article. Such journals will welcome you to submit a viewpoint in 2000 words or 3000 words as well. There could be even something called a letter to editor. Some journals take letter to editor in 1000 words, sometimes in 500 words. Some journals take research letter to editors. So that is one thing which we all should keep in mind when targeting a um, journal, that is the article type, right? The second aspect is something based on, you can also see here, this is a journal. Just give me a minute. Yes, please come. Please come, please. Okay, so this is a journal which had published at the time of COVID-19. So a lot of negative news all around. So I thought something, why don't we write something positive? Right? And I was not in a position to write a research article. So I looked into the scope of the journal and I found out there's something called as commentary, which of course is not a research article, but you refer into the secondary information published in the websites and other things, and you come up with a paper. So that is an option. The type of article also one should be taking care when no, publishing, right? This is another aspect. Yeah, so this is something which I would like to mention is keep track of the word count. Some journals will allow you to submit in 15,000 words. Some allow you to submit in 10,000 words, and some will allow you to submit only in 5,000 words or 8,000 words. So this is one of my paper which was published along with my BBA graduate in the last few months back, right? The challenge for me was the research article. What it was part of a caption project of this particular student. It came around to 8,000 words. The challenge was, you can see here, this is the editor of the journal. The challenge was that editor liked the paper very much. The biggest challenge was for us to make it into 5,000 words, which actually no, is a big challenge. So ultimately, we could be able to do it. We took up the challenge and published it. So what I'm trying to say here is one should keep an eye on the word count. If the word count is not met, sometimes you may have a desk rejection at the initial stage as well. Just give me a minute. Can I just give me a minute? Just somebody is waiting outside. Just I'll come. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one just. The second criteria is impact factor. So one should keep in mind of the point I mentioned about impact factor. Impact factor is not necessary, always not necessary to judge a particular journal. There could be cases wherein a high impact factor will be will be giving you one dimension for science and humanities for science, and it would be giving a another picture for science for humanities and management. Second one is time from submission to final decision. So and the review time. Just a minute. So another aspect which one should be following is about the review time. So we all would like to publish the paper in limited time. But we should actually look into that particular journal and see how much time, what is the average waiting time from the submission to publication, what is your requirement, whether you can wait for 1 or 2 years. Good top quality journals at times it may take 2 years, 3 years, and even 4 years. And you can see here, one of my paper which was published, it was submitted at the bottom at the March 2024. We had revisions in June, July, and August, and it was accepted in August itself, and it came in September. So March, within 4 to 5 months, this was published. So you have to take a call as to the right kind of journals which actually publish paper at the time you look forward. So this is another experience which I want to mention here. This is a journal called as Global Marine Communication. You look into the review time from the journal website, and you find that it's a pretty decent time. So I'll just take this example. 6 months, 6 to 8 months back, when we published here, it got published in 6 to 8 months. But now, when I give a paper, it's pending in the no at the editorial check since 8 months. 8 months a paper was published, but since 8 months it's still in the editorial check. So there is something wrong with it. So a journal which was very active, that is taking more time. So what I am suggesting you is you should know the reason. Sometimes you write to the editor and you may not get a response, but later you can find out that when you go to the call for papers, you can see here the journal is calling for call for editorial board. The journal is called for associate editor. That means that entire editorial board is going to change. There is a team which was actually doing well, but the team is going to change. That is the reason as to why there is a delay. So these aspects also you should keep in mind. You should scrutinize all the areas of a particular journal in and out before submitting. If there is a delay, then it's always better. It's a change in editorial board and other aspects. There's always an option for you to look into other journal. For example, if all the details of the journal will be put up here. Journal indexing, you can see here average time, see 44%, 64 days, but now it's not updated, it's beyond 64 days, right? I hope it's clear. So these aspects also you should be looking into: time to first decision, time to acceptance to publication. And particularly, let me talk about Emerald Publishing. Emerald, once it is accepted, it comes online within 2 weeks. So that is one positive aspect of proofreading and other aspects. It takes very, very little time. So that is one good point of this particular publisher, which is Emerald Database. So next one is the readership and target audience. So when you're submitting a paper to a particular journal, you should also be in a position to know who your target audience are. Right? Whether you want to go with a very generalized journal or a multidisciplinary journal or a very specialty journal. For example, this particular journal, accepts Sage Open, which is an open access journal. This takes papers in humanities, social science. So this is a multidisciplinary journal. So which pulls in different people to read your paper. But there could be even specialized journals like tourism journals or comic journal, which is restricted to very limited readership. So that also is a point worth mentioning here. You should also know who your readers are and who are your target audiences. Journal visibility is another aspect. So normally, if the journal is indexed in Scopus and database, it gives more visibility. And nowadays, most of the institute look into such kind of indexation, I should rather say. So to get more visibility, we suggest that the journal is indexed in Scopus or Web of Science, or as well as in ABDC listed and other PubMed, etc. So this is one crucial area which I would like to mention here. If you would like to search for a particular journal, these are the options that are in front of you, rather than going and finding from A to Z, sitting in front of the computer and spending hours. Every reputed publisher comes up with journal finders. For example, this is a journal search by Elsevier. Okay, so if you have completed a paper, all that you have to do is you have to put an abstract here. I can just write here. You completed a paper and you have planning to submit to a journal. Let me take an abstract. 10 minutes. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah. So just copying this abstract. So imagine that this is your abstract of your paper. Right. I want Elsevier to suggest the probable areas of probable journal areas for publications. All that you can do is you can go here, put this abstract here, right, and you can find the journal. So they'll be giving a list of journals here where you can target it. Also, you can see the first time decision, time to acceptance, right, near to 200 days. This is an open access journal, I guess. So impact factor. So based on your area, sometimes it might be not 100% correct, but to 60 to 70%, the algorithm gives you a rough idea as to where to target, right? So these are areas based journals which have published similar papers based on the abstract which you have given. So this gives you impact factor. So you can take a call. No, if you really want to, these journals are really hard to target. I hope you would have heard of these journals with a very high impact factor at a beginning stage. And if we are reputed scientists and other people, you have option to publish here, or else it takes time to publish in high impact factor. So based on your area of interest and what impact factor you are planning to target, and how much you are ready to wait, and this aspect, and look, taking an eye on, keep, and this is a very important aspect which you can keep in mind, the waiting time, acceptance time. If the acceptance rate is a single digit, it's always better to skip that particular journal and move on to another journal. So this is an option given by Elsevier. The same kind of option is given by other tools as well, Stringer, Emerald. You can see here Emerald. You can all try. Due to lack of time, I'm not looking into all those things. So I'm just taking an Emerald. Emerald is also equally giving an option. You can see here. See, Emerald, you can either sort it by A to Z or Z to A. A to Z will have low impact. If you want to see high acceptance rate, what you can do is you can just give Z to A, and you can see the acceptance Z to A, high impact factor, acceptance rate journal should be coming here. Sorry, 1 minute. Acceptance high to low. If you click like this, you can see the acceptance from high acceptance to low acceptance. Now let me ask you one question. What does it mean? This 100% acceptance. Anybody tell me what it could be? Does it mean that you submit anything, it will be published? Anyone? What does this 100% acceptance mean? Anyone? You write a paper, something related to strategic decision, and you give to the journal. Does that mean that you'll take 100%? Even if
No.
the paper is not good, then what does this 100% mean?
If
Any
the
idea?
paper is according to the scope of the journal, they might.
Scope of the journal, okay. In that case, if the quality is poor, will they take? Then
No.
it should not have been 100, no, it should have been less than 100. But let me tell you what normally this 100% mean is, these are journal not from every authors. They actually have a team. They would have a theme for every issue, and these theme they will be floating well in advance, and they will actually look forward for submission from reputed, people who have established well in that particular area. For example, if I'm having a particular theme, and at that particular theme, they will approach people before and ask them to contribute. And those paper, and if they approach seven people and no, who are real scientists in that or expert in that field, they ask that people to submit it and they do the review, and there is an 100% acceptance. I hope it's clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that is why such acceptance comes as 100%. What you can do is you can target somewhere down, right, wherein it is somewhere around 60 to 40 and 60 to 40 percentage. So these journals, right? See, the answer to your question is for this journal. See, if you write a paper which is related to research, which is related to textile and apparel, and if your paper is a reasonably good journal, good paper with some novelty and no plagiarism and AI rating, the chances are very high, and your paper will mostly strike here because this is a specialized journal. Specialized journal. Not many people write on textile and apparel. Okay, so this is a platform wherein you can think about submission based on the impact factor and acceptance rate. I hope it's clear. So you can look into these aspects as well. Every publisher will have their own journal finder. So two I have just explained. So quickly coming to serious issues in publishing, the nowadays, right, there are so many issues, retractions, and other things. One is fabrication. Under no circumstances, journal will allow you to give you false claims, and fabricate the data, right, and use somebody's data without giving credit, or misrepresent the data, or tamper the image. So these aspects should be avoided, and if you are doing this, you will not only be stopped from a particular journal, you'll also be blacklisted from submission to other journals as well. So that is one aspect, and second aspect is plagiarism. Plagiarism, as you all know, right? Copying something from website and without without scanning through anti-plagiarism software, it is not advisable to submit to a journal. So institutions would be having Turnitin, Authenticate, and many other plagiarism detected tool. I suggest that most that we all put into this plagiarism software, ensure that there are different kinds of thresholds. Some journals go with 20%, some go with 25%, but it's always safer to make your plagiarism as low as 10%. So that will put you as a comfort level before submitting to another journal. Never ever put a paper which is having high plagiarism that will tamper the reputation of the author. And another big concern nowadays is something called as the AI writing. So the plagiarism could be zero, but you may think that no, you can just submit it. But there is something called as AI writing. A big no to AI writing. We can write something which is original, and we can rephrase it, but it's not advisable to write something to ask the chatbot and copy paste and put it in a research paper and submit. Right? Let me tell you, the technology has moved to such an extent that no, they can catch AI writing, they can catch AI writing, paraphrase writing, everything. So these things should be avoided. Let it be our original writing, and go forward for genuine submission. So at from your end, whenever we are submitting, it's advisable to check the plagiarism as well as the AI writing and ensure that it is as minimal as 5% or 10%. percentage. And duplicate submission should not also be done. So that is a violation, and that can result in retraction and other ethical violation as well, right? So this is the flow chart which you might be knowing here, and given by Epstein, Kenvey, and Borden way back in 2020, 2005. I agree with most of the process in research writing, that is writing paper, presenting a work, except one point, which is point number 3. So what I normally do is I don't find a journal after I complete my writing. So this is one point which I would like to mention to everyone sitting here. Right, first focus on the journal, do a research on the journal, look into the aim and scope of the journal, look into the percentage, look into the acceptance rate, look into the type of no, papers which are published, look into the reputation, and look into the level of authors and no, the reputation of authors. Then you can take a self-assessment. Like, right, you have a paper in hand, you can take a call. Is my paper at par with the standard of the journal? If not, no, you are at the wrong place. So it's always not advisable to first search, write a paper, complete the paper, then search the journal. That is absolutely not right. You should first fix the journal and finalize it, one or two, three journals, and then fine tune your writing in such a way that it fits that particular journal. Right. So before submitting to any particular journal, just to keep in mind that we have good tools, which help you to refine your manuscript, like Grammarly. It's a very good tool. So never ever submit a poorly written manuscript. And I suggest that everybody to take hard copy of the manuscript. Don't rely too much on screen. Why? Because we may miss many things when we look into the screen. So before submitting, it's always advisable to take a hard copy. And spell checks and other things, you can go with the Grammarly. And sometimes certain journals, they ask you whether you are English, no, native English language user. Of course, people from India, we say no to it. And in such cases, you can resort to the help of an English professor or a professional who actually gives you some editing service to improve your language. So that's always advisable. So because first impression is always impression, best impression, and cut as much as you can. So don't keep writing things which is already there in the text. So normally there could be a practice like which whatever is put up in a table, we repeat it. That is not a good practice. So cut the limit and be as precise as you can, and look into the flow of your manuscript, the logic and connectivity as well. And spell check could be always not right. Why? Because sometimes the logical aspect will not be taken care by certain software. So you should also take a printout of the manuscript and do your homework before submitting. Right, some tips from Jorman and Lang. When you're giving your first submission, give your best, and try to articulate your research gap well, and clearly mention about the construction measures and the questionnaires and the methodology. Try to put it in a way that the logic of writing maintains a flow, and results are put in a very convincing manner. You put all the tables and figures in appropriate places as well. Right. Some tips for responding to reviewer. This is something which we all know get mad over it. Sometimes you put in a lot of efforts and you get the first revision. The first revision might be a minor revision, and you might expect that in the subsequent revision it's an acceptance. Right. I have got my personal experience wherein the first revision was a minor revision, the second revision was a major revision, and the third revision, all the reviewers accepted, and the associate editor accepted, but the editor put again back in major revision. So what normally we have the tendency to get mad, right? So let's not get mad and do something without thinking much, right? Look into the comments and see what the editor is clearly trying to convey. Take a break, wait for something, some to gather the thoughts. And one point worth mentioning is that the reviewer might be wrong, but that doesn't mean that you are always right, right? And so write your reviewer comments in a very balanced way. And one more aspect which I come across is well, if there are two reviewers, one reviewer might say a very good thing about your particular paper. The second reviewer might say just the opposite. You are very confused. So in a reviewer, in the reply rebuttal letter, you should not be pitting one reviewer against other. That's a very bad practice. You should not be doing time, and we should always be grateful for the reviewers and the editors because they are all doing it for free. You know, so we should also be doing that, right? When somebody reviews our paper, so we should also be in a position to accept and give constructive criticism and don't use harsh comments and other things while responding. And these are the things which you can look into this in detail from this particular URL as given by Ansley NPM. So before I end, I just thought of some tips from my end. The only reason for all of us to write papers to be stay motivated, be self-motivated. Nobody is going to motivate you to write a paper. So be as much as self-motivated as can, right? Let it be a passion for you and me, for all listening to me, to write, papers and publish papers. There's no shortcut of, writing papers. All that you have to read and read, right? Find research gaps and other things. And if you're not in a position to write a review paper or a research paper in the beginning, if you're a beginner to write a paper, write something what you like. That is one point. Slowly, you can gather momentum and write a research paper and review paper. For example, this is something which I wrote at the time during COVID-19. I'll just click this paper, kindergarten paper. So this is a paper which I wrote out of a passion, right? It's not a research paper. It was something to help kindergarten students to learn better. What motivated me to do this paper was at the time of COVID-19, most of the classes were online, and my son who was in the kindergarten at that time was really finding difficult to stay online right from morning to evening, right? Not morning to evening, morning to afternoon, online classes. So particularly, he was finding very difficult to learn social science. No, EVS, I should rather say not social science, EVS. So he was not able to comprehend things EVS, sun, moon, stars, and other things. So what I thought is I should do something. No, I should help the teachers to make this kindergarten classrooms more lively. So that prompted me to write something, which my son motivated, indirectly motivated, and wrote, and I gave this paper, and it was well accepted. I wrote this paper. The target audience was for kindergarten audience teachers who are taking geography classes. So this was done, and ways to improve or ways to make kindergarten classrooms more effective during COVID-19 time. So that's what just wanted to mention here. So write something which you like. You would like to write about comic, or if you'd like to write about something related to education, write it. Let it not be a review paper, research paper in the beginning. It can be a commentary, it can be a small viewpoint, or anything of that sort. So start writing what you like. And second one is learn to use ethically these tools. So there are a lot of tools which makes our work easier, but like the Skyspace, the Consensus, they are good tools for you to do literature review. There are gone are those days when we make use of only Google Scholar, but these tools are excellent tools to find out the research gaps, scrutinize the various aspects of research, review the research papers. So these tools should be used, ethically, which can improve your paper. And it's not that you have to write everything to 5 pages a day. You can start writing by 300 to 500 words a day. Soon, as you write along, you will gather momentum and you'll be able to write 10 pages in 1 or 2 weeks. So start, if you're a beginner, always start with, don't, of course, we should dream high, but if you're a beginner, let's start with small beginning so that we can reach to the top. Beginners can start with Q4 and Q3 journals, mostly indexing Scopus. And keep in mind, say no to AI. Why? Because AI generated content can be caught easily. AI generated and paraphrased content can also be caught. Human written and AI refined is actually accepted. Human written, anyway, we all do it. The first two categories are not acceptable, and we should never do that when we are submitting papers to online submission. So, as I mentioned, choose the journal properly, and LinkedIn is an excellent platform for you to all to connect. Let's minimize our time on what Instagram and other things. Look into you can also make use of Google Scholar and wherein you can shortlist authors based on your research domain. So connect with them and collaborate with them. So that you can have good strategic partnerships and way forward. So there is no shortcut for publishing. Hard work matter, but of course, smart work is crucial. So avoid predatory journals. Do not fall victim to clone journals. Keep track of Google Scholar profile of researchers, which matches your area of interest. And I was mentioning about this Minerali paper. If a journal paper is not matching your scope, don't just like that put your paper to another journal. See the scope of the journal, find how you can retune your paper so that it fits the scope of another journal. So that is one point, and right, the reviewer comment diplomatically. And one thing to keep in mind: do not lose hope. Every stalwarts always I've started from a small beginning. So if they can all reach the top. We can also start from a very small beginning to reach at the top. So this is further reading. I can leave the PPT in case you need it. You can go through this. And one final thing which you have to mention is for very one acceptance, right? You have 10 rejections. So people will not see your acceptance. They will not see your rejection. They only see your acceptance. So don't lose your hope. So many papers of mine, no, your one acceptance, I would have had even 8 to 10 rejections. So if we have self motivation, if we have that passion to say that no, my paper will not sit in my hard drive. So that is what takes you to leap forward. So let's all take the pledge that our paper will not sit in the hard drive, and we'll keep submitting until it clicks to a very good channel. So that's all from my end. And this is a workshop which I thought I'd just share with you all. A physical workshop which is coming at VIT. I'm a coordinator of this workshop from 17th March to 21st March. Hands-on workshop which talks about the research life cycle, right from the ideation to publication. The entire process will be taught here in 5 days time. So you are all welcome to register for it. And these are the areas, and we have invited speakers from other institutions and industry as well to take you from the research gap, building a research problem to dig deeper, dwell deeper into quantitative as well as qualitative analysis, then move on to proposal writing, then granting application, navigating the peer review process, how to write, reviewer comments, how to respond to reviewer comments, how to write a rebuttal letter, systematic literature review, where to publish and what not to publish, and then predatory journals, clone journals, and finally ethics and research. So this is a complete package which comes with a very nominal fee. So if you're interested, you can join here, and we'll all be happy to meet you at VIT. So that's all from my end. Thank you. I'm very active in LinkedIn. If your area of interest matches mine, you can catch me up in LinkedIn. You can see my publication as well, and we can go ahead with some fruitful collaboration. So thank you. So that's all from my end. I'll take any questions, if any.